Yeah, first off my presentation, I want to show you the piece I created with Cinema 4D. I used a lot of MoGraph to create this project, but as well other features of Cinema 4D. After showing it, I want to go in detail and explain how I created some parts of my video. Enjoy.
On a starship flying out through your galaxy, lightning strikes as I'm touching you magically, melting so deeply into your sun, melting so softly into the stars, fading so quickly into your tonight.
I feel your fire running ice cold on my bed.
A dangerous love.
Take me to a place so we can make believe.
On a star.
That's the video. And now, I will show you how I created some parts. The water bubbles, in this case is footage, but there's as well a plugin called Dpit for Cinema 4D, which I used in another project, and this is great for creating bubbles like this. But in this video, it's no Cinema 4D. I did it later on in compositing. No. I want to show you how I created these tentacles. I used a feature called Spline Dynamics to create the jellyfish. And here you can see a screenshot of the project file. I brought the file as well with me. You can see the body is a quite simple modeled shape. And I created the animation by simply making a tapper object, which is a deformer of Cinema 4D. I tracked it as a child of my body object and gave a vibrate expression tag. And the tentacles of my jellyfish are created by Spline Dynamics. I just have drawn a spline, added this spline dynamic tag, and gave it very low gravity because it's a scene underwater. And with the constraint tag, I linked my dynamic spline to the body of the jellyfish. Later on, I put it in a cloner object and cloned it. So that's how it works. With a spline wrap, which is a nice feature of Cinema 4D, I will explain later on. I wrapped a textured shape around the spline, and the inner life of my jellyfish is created as well, like this. These kind of jellyfish are created as well with MoGraph. It's a different setup. I created a spline and converted it into joints and linked the joints, each point of the spline, to one joint point. I can show you the 3D setup. It's basically like this. These are the splines I created, and with Expresso I linked each point to a joint. It has a nice advantage. If I move the joint goal, the spline deforms in the way that my joint moves. And I tracked the two spline objects into a radial cloner object. If I just, I can make the joints not visible. Here you see these are my splines, which are in the cloner, and they define the shape of my jellyfish. It's a simple Loftner object. I can raise here the count of the clones. If I do so, the shape yeah, deforms as well. It's a quite nice setup to work with. Here you can see as well a screenshot, like the joints are linked perfectly to the shape. It's quite nice to control. I used a lot of materials later on to texture my jellyfish body. Yeah, the plants which are growing in the video are created in different ways. One feature of Cinema 4D I used quite often is MoSpline. That's a nice feature I used quite often to create this kind of plants. We'll show you in a new project file how it works. In the MoGraph window of Cinema 4D you can find an object called MoSpline. This is a nice object. If you click it, it creates you a MoSpline object. It's basically a spline. And yeah, you have a lot of attributes you can animate and play with. Go to the simple settings. Here you can see that yeah, I can adjust the angle in each direction of my MoSpline object. So I won't need. And I can curve the object, can bend it, twist it. And one of the most important parts and attributes is that the MoSpline object has segments. Just can raise the number of segments. Now you see that yeah, it creates me a nice organic shape. In my example, I want to give it more or less the angle of 360 degrees, like something like 349, just works fine. Now you see I have a nice, yeah, organic shape, which is a quite good base to start creating the animation of the plants. A very nice feature of MoSpline is that it works and interacts with fields. I just can drag in, yeah, any field, any force Cinema 4D works with. For example, the wind force. I just drag the wind force into my MoSpline fields window, say include, and now you see it sorry, I have to make some adjustments here. Just raise the turbulence, lower the scale. And now you see without setting any keyframes, my MoSpline object interacts with the wind. Of course, you can animate the wind object itself or the attributes of the wind object. And you can play a bit with the attributes. You see it affects my MoSpline in a very nice way. Of course, you can combine different fields that interact with the MoSpline object. To show you how it works, I just create another force, for example, a turbulence object. Drag it in to my fields window. That's too hard. I lower the frequency, raise the scale again, something like 100%. Now you see now both forces are interacting with the MoSpline object. Just delete the wind object, because for my example, simple turbulence will work to show you this nice feature of Cinema 4D. Okay. Yeah, like I said, there are a lot of attributes in the MoSpline object. You can animate, of course. Just make some keyframes. The first frame, something like that. This should work. I want to not so much segments. I go to the last frame and change my attributes, something like that. And let's bend it a bit more, twist it a bit. Okay. Now you see while the MoSpline object interacts with the turbulence force, yeah, it starts to come nice, basic, organic, growing-like animation. Of course, I can animate the length in this window too. Just, let's say, first frame it's 120 meters. Later on the frame 50, it's like 200 centimeters. Now it grows while it's bending itself and, yeah, flowing in the wind, running the turbulence. You have a lot of attributes. Here, for example, you have an option called end. You see now it's another kind of growing animation. The nice thing is, if you activate extend end and go above 100%, yeah, it extends my MoSpline object and it creates a nice organic-like curvy shape. That's exactly what I want for my plant animation. You can change the mode to separate segments. And here you see if you activate the grow mode separate segments, the MoSpline shape, yeah, affects every segment of my MoSpline shape grows together. That's what I want to use for this example. Let's make it like this. First frame 60%. And then go like 150 maybe. This is nice. Okay. Now the nice thing of the MoSpline object is that it works with MoGraph effectors too. To show you an example, I just create a random effector. Want just the rotation to interact with my MoSpline object. Now you see if I change the value, the rotation age, my MoSpline object gets affected by it immediately. Could animate it in this window or simply animate the percentage the effector affects the MoSpline object in the effectors window of my MoSpline object. Say the first frame I want it to be affected 100%. And later on frame 75 maybe, I want no affection. Now you see it gets a nice curly move at the end. Okay. If I click render, I'm not able to see anything because the MoSpline object basically is just a spline, so I have to make it visible. You can make this in different ways. I just want to show one example. Create a basic landscape shape. Make it a bit smaller, maybe like 120. Lower the height of my shape. And I create a deformer called Spline Wrapper, which you can find in the deformer windows of Cinema 4D. I make the Spline Wrap object to child of my landscape object. And here, if you select the Spline Wrap, you have a field called Spline. There you can drag in any spline. Simply drag in the MoSpline object, change the axis, and now you see my landscape is banded around my MoSpline object. Just make some adjustments of the size. Something like that. Looks nice. if I play the animation now, you see that the landscape object, yeah, is wrapped and interacts with my MoSpline object. Okay, the Spline Wrapper has a lot of attributes too. Can adjust. Want to show you some features of the Spline Wrapper. Here you can define the spline size. It's like the size the object has on my spline. Just can do this by drawing a curve. See now, just added some points. Make it on this place of the spline a bit smaller. And you can play with these attributes. Of course, you can animate them too. Okay, then we have the rotation, same here. Just draw a curve to define how the object, the parent of the spline wrapper, is bended around the spline you wanted to bend, you wanted to wrap. Something like that. Maybe like this. This works nice. I don't know. Okay. And now you see something like that. I wanna adjust the size of my object. Just draw another curve. Something like that to make it really small in the beginning and the end. That's what I want for this example. Yeah, now you can start to animate if you want directly in this window. You can simply create two keyframes, for example, for on spline size strength. Let's make here like 50 and maybe on this frame it's affected 100%. Now while it's growing, it starts to, the size of my wrapped object is changing too, which is quite nice effect. And here can animate as well the rotation strength. Here we can put in values above 100% too if we want to. Something like that. Okay, and there are more options of the spline wrapper. You can animate where it grows to. You see, something like that. Just want to make some keyframes too. Maybe let's say here it's grown to 100%. First frame, maybe whatever, 38 should work. Yeah, and if you combine and create animations of different values, you can receive quite easily complex animation of organic shapes growing and flowing, but with turbulence. Okay, nice thing on this landscape object is I can make it spherical as well. Now I have quite interesting geometry. So let's make some adjustments here. I want it smaller. And that's basically how you can create interesting organic shapes with the MoSpline object. Later on you can texture your object and things like that are here. They have some strange errors. Maybe it's too hard bended in this example, but yeah. Okay, I want to make it a bit more complex. Let's leave it by this. We'll call this plant A. And I will create a cloner object. Switch it to radial. Make it like something like 3. Count. Lower the radius on 0. And now I have, I can play here with the cloner attributes. Can rotate them to make it a bit more, to give it a small variation. And of course I can create whatever effectors as well to give it a small randomness just on the position. Oh, sorry about that. Something's strange. I have activated something. Ah, okay. Now it works. Thank you. You can give it a randomness of the rotation too. Now every plant is growing the same moment. I just want to give it a delay. Can do so easily by creating, for example, a step effector. Just activate every attribute. It's already in my effector of the cloner object, and give it a time offset. And now, every plant, every cloned part grows with a delay, which is a nice and easy way how you can give complex shapes, nice variation. Okay. Yes. Sorry? I don't know. I think so. Does anybody know? MoGraph selections. Never tried, but of each spline, I think you can maybe by creating a cloner and say it's, I don't know, haven't checked this out. Should. I think you can do it maybe like this. Just let's check this out. Oh, sorry. Let's try it. Make this here a bit. What's happening if we lower the count to 1 and then make the start? No. Whatever, I don't. Seems that it won't work like this. Maybe if we. Ah, yeah. Okay, if you give it. I think if you make it like this. No. Yeah, but I think there's some. I think there's a way to do it this way. But I don't know, I haven't used this for my animation. Yeah, with this it should work. I think, I'll check this out later on if you want. No problem. Okay. Yeah, in my animation I created a lot of different shapes in different ways and used as well. I wrapped splines around others and used a lot of materials to texture my shapes. It's an example how it looked like. You like 3 forces to interact with my MoSpline object. These are some examples of the materials I created to make my animation. These are like the leaves I used for the blossoms, and yes, these shapes and others I used to texture my plants. I used the color, luminance channel, a bump map, alpha channel, and displacement to create the plant shapes. Okay, now I want to show you how you can create easily a blossom in Cinema 4D using MoGraph. Just have prepared an... sorry, that's not what I want to show you. I have prepared a leaf I have modeled. Let's change the display to hidden lines, for example, that you can see it better. It's a quite simple model of a leaf, which I have textured later on. And first I want to create a easy and simple unfold animation by creating a simple deformer object. You can find here an object called bend. And this does exactly what it's named like. It bends objects. I will adjust the length, the size of my bend object to like 200 centimeters and adjust it more or less to the null point of my leaf. Want to activate keep y-axis length, and now you can play with the attributes, rotate it to the direction where I want to unfold my leaf, something like that. Works nice. Okay, let's go to the first frame. Say here maybe it's the bend strength. It's like 150 degrees. Frame 50, I want it to be less bended, like maybe 44. Should work nice. Okay. Now you see by creating just 2 free keyframes and without setting any joints, without triggering the object, it's unfolding. To make the animation a bit more complex, I'll create another deformer. For example, a tapper object. Group this one, call it DFA. Make the tapper object to a child of this null. Adjust the strength. Activate fillet. And now I rotate it and change a bit the position that it affects my leaf in a nice way how I want it. Just set 2 keyframes in the first frame. Let's say it's like 76%. Here, frame 50. Wanted no strength. And now while it's unfolding, it has a little growing animation. It scale change, it's like deformed, which gives it a nice natural look. Okay, what I have now is just one leaf, but I want to create a blossom. In Cinema 4D you can easily do this with the MoGraph cloner object. Just create a cloner, drag my leaf in, change the mode to radial, and here you can change the plane. I want, in this example, to use the XZ plane. And now you see if you adjust the radius maybe to 10 centimeters, that I've created a blossom. I don't want that my single leaves are overlapping. Can change this in a quite simple way by making some adjustments. The transform window of the cloner settings. Now you see at the end my leaves don't overlap anymore. Okay, I want to raise the radius a bit and give my blossom a variation. Easiest way to do so is create a random effector. It's already tracked in the fields if you create a factor while selecting the cloner object. And now you can make some adjustments. I really want to a small variation. That's why I use very, very low attributes. Give it a little randomness, but very little ones. Same here, just change the angle of the rotation. Okay. Now each leaf has a different size, is a bit rotated in a different way, and has another position from the null point. Okay. Okay. Thing like that. Okay. Later on, next step, I want to make the animation a bit more complex. I'll do this by creating a simple plane effector. Again, change the adjustments. Put a negative scale. Whatever. You can play with these attributes. Something like that, maybe. Works for this example. And I'll make some adjustments on the rotation in each direction, something like that. Okay. But now I want that my cloner goes to the original size after the blossom is unfolded. So I'll set some, basically just 2 keyframes in the effector window of my cloner. I want to have no affection of the plane effector on frame 60 and want 100% of affection of the plane effector on the first frame. Now you see it becomes more complex very fast and very easy. Now the growth and unfolding animation is quite complex one. Okay. Yeah, to create a delay I will make the same than I did in the example of the plants before. I'll just create a step effector and deactivate every attribute and just use the time offset. Maybe something like that. Or maybe that's too much. Looks quite nice. Maybe a bit less. You have to make the adjustments later on. And here, with this curve, you can define how the step effector, which clone is affected by the step effector. Now, the direction changed. Okay. Time's running fast, so here it's overlapping. I can make some adjustments here, make it maybe a bit smaller. Something like that. Sorry? I modeled it before, but you mean the geometry? It has a wait. So it has a thickness, a very low one. modeled it, but you can do so. Nice way to give thickness, and a very simple one is, for example, the explosive effects deformer. Do you know this? I can show you. But there's a lot of ways. This is a very simple one. Just create a plane, drag these effects in, say time 0, and now you can. This is a very simple and easy way. There are other ones, but you can adjust the thickness. And to make it round, you can, whatever, put it in a... Okay, well, I lost my example. Okay, here we are. Okay, now that's basically my blossom. Of course, you can combine this cloner object again with other cloner objects. Just create a linear cloner object. Drag this to two clones. Make some adjustments on the positioning, rotation, this direction, the scale. Whatever. And now I have two blossom parts. If you give this cloner, for example, create another step effector for this cloner, activate the time offset, you can, like after the first blossom unfolds, the second one starts to grow. If they are not, if I would have made them very small, not visible, it's a quite nice effect. Okay, what's missing is the inner life of my plant, like the seeds. And I don't know the English word, this part which is in the middle of the blossom. This can easily be created in a very fast way with MoGraph 2. Just create a sphere object, lower the radius, that it fits more or less in the middle of my blossom. I'll just duplicate the sphere, make the radius really small, create another cloner object, drag the sphere in, and now I change the mode of my cloner object to object mode. And here you can drag in an object, and now you see that the clones, like in this case the small sphere, which is the giant of my cloner object, are aligned on the surface of my sphere on the object I dragged in here. You can give it easily again a variation by creating again a random effector. Again, I want to use very, very low values, something like that, just to give it a small variation, you see. Okay. And of course you can animate again here the random effector, how it affects. This gives a nice effect while growing the plant. The seeds change a bit and have another variation. And you can animate each value of, for example, the sphere object. You see, if you lower, for example, the radius, the elements which are on the clone, on the object, the clones, grow with my object. And you can animate, of course, as well the child of the cloner itself. Something like that. Okay. What I really like, I'll delete this cloner object. and make a group of these three objects, which is my blossom. And by creating, for example, a simple wind deformer, can drag it here, it becomes becomes more complex even without setting any keyframes. Just change the values here, and now it has a nice deformation. Looks like it's blowing in the wind. Okay, I'm out of time more or less. Just go to the PDF again. Here you can see an example of the plant. I used to create the blossoms several ways to unfold the leaves. I used as well the spline wraps, wrapped some parts of the plant around splines are created. I used the spline wrapper as well to align the animated animals on my plants and animate them so that they fly on the plants. And last I'll show, because out of time, is this. Here you can see a stack beagle lined on a growing spline. This is how I rendered it with global illumination. This is the finished compositing. And now that's it. If you want, you're welcome to take a Cinema 4D demo. Sorry, of course, I can play it again.
Starship flying out through your galaxy. Lightning strikes as I'm touching you magically. Melting so deeply into your sun, melting so softly into the stars, fading so quickly into your heart. Tonight, tonight, tonight.
I feel your fire running ice cold through my veins.
Dangerous, dangerous love.
Take me to a place so we can make believe.
Okay, thanks a lot. If you want to see more artwork of mine, just grab a business card and you are welcome to take a Cinema 4D demo. You can receive at the info desk as well if you want to try this great program. If you have any further questions, I'll be here around. Thanks for watching and listening, and have a nice time on the IBC. Ciao.